After Jax Taylor confirmed his exit from the Valley earlier this week, Andy Cohen has since reacted to the news. The Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen host opened up about Jax leaving the Valley after season 2 on his Sirius radio show, Andy Cohen Live, on July 17, one day after Jax confirmed his departure. Jax announced yesterday that he's going to be stepping away from the Valley. I'm very pleased with his decision, and I think it is reading the room well. And I think the most important thing is that I hope that he can work on all of his issues. And this comes up at the upcoming Season 2 reunion. Andy said on his radio show on Thursday, "I have kind of a serious conversation with him about his need for control and his anger issues, and what it's gonna take to get to a better place with Brittany Cartwright and in the world." Andy added, "And I hope that he takes the time to lean into this away from the cameras, and he seems very committed from our conversations to his sobriety. And I hope that time away from the cameras will further encourage that and further encourage him to get it together." What Jax Taylor said at the Valley Season 2 reunion behind the scenes. While fans will have to wait for the reunion to air later this season, BravoV.com did catch up with Jax backstage at the Valley Season 2 reunion filming, and he shared his predictions for the season-ending sit-down with Andy and his castmates. "How do I feel? I've been down this road, I don't know, 10 times, and I've been pretty much hammered every time, so I have pretty thick skin," he said in the exclusive interview, in which he alluded to his many Vanderpump Rules reunions. What's next for Jax Taylor? In his statement in which he confirms his departure from the Valley, Jax hinted at what's next for him. "After an incredibly challenging year and many honest conversations with my team and producers, I'll be stepping away from the next season of The Valley," he said in a statement on July 18. "Right now, my focus needs to be on my sobriety, my mental health, and co-parenting. Taking this time is necessary for me to become the best version of myself, especially for our son Cruz." The heat of the stage lights still lingered, a phantom warmth on Jax's skin. He sat slumped in his chair, the echoes of Andy's final, pointed questions about control and anger still ringing in his ears. It was over, for now anyway. Another season, another public dissection of his life, another promise to do better. He scrolled through his phone, a blur of notifications. News articles, fan comments, a text from Brittany confirming she was on her way to pick him up. His thumb hovered over the statement he'd released just yesterday. "After an incredibly challenging year and many honest conversations with my team and producers, I'll be stepping away from the next season of The Valley. Right now, my focus needs to be on my sobriety, my mental health, and co-parenting. Taking this time is necessary for me to become the best version of myself, especially for our son Cruz." It sounded good, responsible. He wondered if anyone would believe it. He remembered the conversation with Andy, a rare moment of genuine, unscripted concern. "I hope that he takes the time to lean into this away from the cameras," Andy had said on his radio show, a snippet he'd heard countless times since. "And he seems very committed from our conversations to his sobriety, and I hope that time away from the cameras will further encourage that and further encourage him to get it together." Get it together. The words felt like a branding iron on his soul. He was 46 years old, a husband, a father, and still, he was being told to get it together. The shame was a bitter taste in his mouth. Brittany arrived, her usual bubbly demeanor muted by the exhaustion of the day. She offered a small, tired smile. "Ready to go home?" He nodded, pushing himself up. The drive home was quiet, a stark contrast to the usual cacophony of their lives. He glanced at Brittany, her profile etched against the fading light. She deserved more. Cruz deserved more. And he, Jax Taylor, needed to be more. The days that followed were a strange blend of relief and unease. The cameras were gone, the daily demands of filming replaced by a quiet routine. He woke up, made coffee, played with Cruz, and tried to fill the hours with anything but the usual distractions. He started going to meetings, something he'd resisted for so long. He'd sit in the back, listening to stories that mirror his own struggles, finding a strange comfort in the shared vulnerability. One afternoon, while Cruz was napping, Jax found himself in the garage, a space he usually reserved for organizing his ever-growing collection of sports memorabilia. He picked up a dusty baseball, a relic from his youth, before the reality TV circus, before the endless pursuit of validation, before the anger and the alcohol became his constant companions. He remembered the boy who loved this game, the boy who dreamed of making it big, not on a screen, but on a field. A pang of regret, sharp and unexpected, pierced through him. What had happened to that boy? He pulled out a box of old photos, pictures of him as a kid, goofy and gap-toothed, then as a young man, full of bravado and a thirst for adventure. There were photos of his early days on Vanderpump Rules, the camaraderie, the manufactured drama, the slow erosion of his true self. And then pictures with Brittany, their wedding, the birth of Cruz. A timeline of his life laid bare. He saw the pattern clearly now, the highs, the dramatic lows, the constant cycle of self-sabotage, fueled by a deep-seated need for control and validation, a desperate attempt to fill a void he couldn't quite name. Andy was right. He needed control, and when he didn't have it, the anger would boil over. Weeks turned into months. The routine became a rhythm. Sobriety was a daily battle, but each small victory felt monumental. He spent more time with Cruz, really present, not just physically but emotionally. He listened to Brittany, truly listened, for the first time in years. They started therapy, not just for him, but for them as a couple. It was messy, uncomfortable, and often painful, but it was also healing. One evening, after Cruz was asleep, Jax and Brittany sat on their patio, the Los Angeles lights twinkling in the distance. "You've been different," Brittany said softly, reaching for his hand. In a good way. He squeezed her hand. "It's hard," he admitted, "but it's peaceful, or it's getting there." "I know," she whispered. "I'm proud of you, Jax." Her words, simple and heartfelt, meant more than any ratings or headlines ever could. He thought about Andy Cohen, about the conversation at the reunion. He hadn't been angry then, not truly, just tired, and maybe, for the first time in a long time, truly afraid of what he was becoming. Andy's words, though blunt, had been a catalyst. 1 year later, the sun streamed into the newly redecorated living room. It was brighter, cleaner, a reflection of the changes they'd made in their lives. Cruz, now a boisterous 3-year-old, was zooming around with a toy truck, his laughter echoing through the house. Jax watched him, a genuine smile on his face. He felt lighter, free from the constant pressure of the cameras, the performance, the endless cycle of his own making. He was still Jax Taylor, yes, but a different version, a better version, he hoped. He had started a small online business, something entirely unrelated to reality TV, something that allowed him to use his hands and his head. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. He was still in therapy, still attending meetings, still learning to navigate the world without the crutch of alcohol and the constant need for external validation. Brittany walked in, a happy hum on her lips. "Dinner soon," she announced, giving him a quick kiss on the cheek. He pulled her closer, a comfortable silence settling between them. He thought about the statement he'd made a year ago, about focusing on his sobriety, his mental health, and co-parenting. He was doing it, he was finally doing it. The phone buzzed. It was a text from a former castmate, a casual check-in. He smiled. He wasn't completely isolated from his past, but he was no longer defined by it. The valley still existed, but he was no longer lost within its shadows. He was building his own new valley, one brick at a time, with love, sobriety, and a quiet, profound sense of peace. The journey was far from over, but for the first time in a very long time, Jax Taylor felt like he was finally heading in the right direction.